Ladies and gentlemen, now it's too late with Alan Mosley.
Guys, welcome back for another episode of It's Too Late. I am your host, Alan Mosley, joined as always by the number one producer in late night. It's Sherry Voluntary. Sherry, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm tired.
Boy, really way to kick off the show with some energy, Sherry. Thanks.
Right. You're welcome.
Jesus, man. Well, anyway, we're gonna move along. We got a lot to cover tonight. We're gonna start off with Jeff Bezos was in the news. Jeff Bezos, the I guess former CEO of Amazon now, took a little trip to space. The decadence of all that money he has laying around. He took a trip to space, but what was really making more headlines than Bezos himself was his spaceship. Take a look at Jeff Bezos' spaceship. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's him. You can tell by the way that it is. So no, that's not real. Do we have his real spaceship? Yeah, there it is. Actually, I think the first picture was pretty spot on, to be honest with you.
Blue instead of black.
Yeah, you even see the black on the other side there. It's pretty much the exact same thing. So I don't really know enough about, aerospace to know why that was the way it was. All I know is that like I've seen the other like space shuttles and stuff that they didn't all look like giant penises.
Right.
But
penises and weenuses.
Penises and weenuses. But even so, that wasn't the end of the story. Because you had some of the lefty politicians coming out saying, well, if you can afford to travel to space with all your excess cash, you could afford to pay more taxes. So we're going to start off with Elizabeth Warren. Do we have a picture of Elizabeth Warren? Yeah, there she is. So Elizabeth Warren says, she tweets this out. Check this out. She says, billionaires who can afford to take a 10-minute joyride to outer space can afford to pay a hashtag wealth tax here on Earth. Before I get into that, she wasn't the only one. So we had a tweet also from AOC. Do we have a picture of AOC? Yeah, that's her. Actually, that is her. But it's still funny.
It's funny.
And so AOC was asked by someone else. You can pull up her tweet right here. Someone else says, wow, that it was easier for Bezos to get into outer space than into Queens. And she says the aliens can have him. Alien emoji. So, I know she's trying to be coy and all that, but I feel like that's basically saying, I hope he doesn't make it back.
Ooh, I didn't take it like that, but I see what you mean now.
Well, and so the thing is, like, I feel like this is kind of like you could add this to the whole series of The Seen and the Unseen, is that all these jokers are all talking about he's mega rich. Mm-hmm. He sort of like kicked off space tourism, if you will. I mean, I would love to do that. Of course,
that's pretty cool.
I don't have his money, but
do it.
I give him $350 for a ticket. $3 not 350 million, just $350.
$350.
But what people like Elizabeth Warren and AOC never seem to really get onto is that while it is true he had that money laying around and he decided to spend it on consumption of his own right. entertainment. It's not like they just set that money ablaze and then he went into space.
Correct.
It's not like they took that money and set it underneath the launch pad and the thrusters just went whoosh and the 300, however many millions of dollars just disappeared.
Right.
Like, so that money went to companies who built the ship, built the systems, the parts, the engineering involved, the test facilities, the crew, the people that actually got that thing up into the air and back down. So it paid those people's salaries. It paid the salaries. All you think of, it's kind of like an iPencil type thing where you can go all the way down to the random slack-jawed yokel, Cletus, who was like casting some random bolt that went on that ship, and he paid for that.
Right.
And that's part of it.
It's always interesting to me when politicians are getting mad at rich people for spending their wealth on things that they want to do, and they provide more value to the human, kind than any politician ever has.
Well, so that's an interesting part of it too, is that I've seen people make this analogy that, if Jeff Bezos wants to go spend, however much of it is, if he wants to go spend $500 million
Right.
to get into space or to begin space travel, tourism, whatever, then people get upset. But when the government steals $28 billion from the taxpayers of the U.S. to fund NASA,
Right.
that's like, well, that is virtually, all of a sudden they're all in Star Trek. They're all in Star Trek all of a sudden.
Right.
That is for the good of the Federation, and we're going to explore, and we're going to find resources and meet new life and all this BS. But only if the government does it, not if Jeff Bezos does it.
I wonder how they would be complaining if he'd have built a women's center with all that money for women.
What if he had taken, her name just slipped my mind, the dead Supreme Court Justice.
Oh, Ginsburg.
Yeah, what if he had taken
Ginsburg
to space? Then would they still be upset? I don't know.
He should have shot her body out into space. That would have been hilarious.
Sherry, I've got a quick question for you before we end the monologue here.
Okay.
Have you had your wisdom teeth taken out? Have you gone through all that?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Actually.
How was that experience for you?
It was awful. I had them all four done at the same time. I was a little older.
Yeah.
And they punctured my sinus when they did that.
Fuck?
I just was sick for like 2 weeks after it was just gross.
So you are morally justified then to strafe their houses with a fighter jet because they did that. Yes, okay. So I haven't been through that, thank goodness. I've been through, other things, but I haven't been through that. But a lot of people they go through that. They give you some like really hardcore drugs like anesthesia.
Yes.
And they put you down for this whole, and then you wake up and you're all woozy and your mouth is just packed with gauze because it's pretty. They just take a hacksaw and they're just carving pieces of your jaw out. So this really has nothing to do with anything other than this is just my show, and it's really just an expose on me entertaining myself. So this was a girl waking up from the anesthesia from her getting out her wisdom teeth. Take a look at this.
Get you back the right way.
When can I smoke weed again?
Sophia, stop.
So that's actually a good question. If you can, what I don't want you to get is a dry socket.
Yeah.
I
Those are
just
painful. It's not an infection.
smoke.
And it'll.
Can I take edibles?
It's better than smoking.
That's
You need to
lit.
try to avoid smoking for about a week.
Oh, wait. What about vaping, though?
Anything that's gonna suck it.
Jesus Christ. I can't suck dick either.
Sophia! Jesus. Shut up. Oh, yeah, I'm getting all this on YouTube. Oh, all of this when we get in the car. Oh, don't turn into a crier. You're not depressed.
I can't suck dick, Mom.
Look what I got.
Oh
Please stop.
my God.
Please stop.
I will.
Boy, there's never a more special time between a mother and her daughter when the daughter says, "I can't suck dick, Mom."
And she's crying about. So this is like a favorite pastime of hers, clearly.
She can't
She's
suck
gonna be
dick,
getting
Mom.
a lot of calls in the near future.
Boy, what a sad turn of events, really, there at the end. Guys, we're going to be back with the meme of the week and the viewer mail right after this break. Don't go away. Guys, welcome back to the show. I hope your social lives have not been ruined like that poor young lady's.
I think she's gonna have quite the social life now, honestly.
Hey, Sherry.
Yes.
What time is it?
Meme of the week.
Germany plans to force people who won't quarantine into camps. I'm sorry, what?
I love it. Him taking the little earbud out, like, oh, what? Wait a second. So good.
But we do have another bonus week. Another bonus meme this week. Take a look at the bonus meme. Come on, Angus, you need your exercise. Holy fucking shit, kid. I need a goddamn pizza.
Boy, that reminds me of a visitor we had this weekend with someone else.
I mean, when you need a pizza, you need a pizza. Holy fucking shit, Sherry.
Dog face. He is done with that kid's shit.
I feel like the breakdown you're having right now is it's still extending over from the end of the monologue.
Correct.
Boy. Let's go ahead and answer some viewer mail, shall we? Another part of the show. I don't answer my questions from the audience. It's Jesus. It's really a whole big thing. I mean, no one's still watching after the video, so. All right, so we're going to start off this week with Andrew Avery, who writes, Dear Alan and Sherry, with a 13-hour time difference, I woke up for these Olympics. Did you woke up? I've heard, you see, this is one of those things where I keep on hearing from everyone how woke the Olympics are this year, but I genuinely don't know because I haven't watched a single second of them.
Yeah. I watched like 30 seconds of some skateboarding with my daughter because my mom was like, hey, there's some skateboarding and some little Japanese girl is winning and it's cute. And we watched and we said, oh, cute. And then we turned it off.
So the thing is, I actually read this from somebody recently that was talking about, America, the Team USA always does well in the Olympics. I mean, they're always near the top collectively. And usually will gold or high medal in a lot of the big premier events, But they're not doing quite as well this year as in years past. And one reason, just sort of thinking out loud here, one reason for that might be that, there's been such a movement to move people's time preferences to such a high time preference that Americans don't just have their run of the Olympics anymore the way they used to. Because, I mean, you think of being an Olympian, like other than just being genetically so gifted that you could theoretically be one if you worked very hard. But it's not just working hard. I mean, for a lot of people in a lot of events, you have to decide years, decades even in advance, I'm going to be an Olympian. And you
people's whole childhoods.
Yes, you put all of that, of all your life into into then having a brief window where you're at your peak.
Yep.
Like you're planning, you're 7 years old and you're planning for 3 Olympics from now to go make a run at it, right?
Right.
And people just don't think that way.
Nope.
Anymore.
It's a lot of dedication.
I guess I should say the percentage of people that are willing to endure that is shrinking.
Correct.
So
I mean, we've got to beat the kids like China.
Yes, like you look at Russia. If you look at Russia in the medal standings, they're not called Russia. They're called ROC, which is the Russian Olympic Committee, because that's a thing that exists. Yeah, because
they took over a bunch of places and called it theirs.
I tell you what, if this is like one of those, this is like would you rather things. Would you be content to close down the CDC today, but it's replaced with the American Olympic Committee? And they're just drugging these infants, just pumping them full of steroids.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I don't know. Just something to think about. I mean, if you want to see how fast a motherfucker can run, let's find out. That's all I'm saying. I don't know why I'm so angry about it. I'm not even mad. I don't know. It's just what's in my heart, I guess. I don't know. Marilyn Willimowski writes, Dear Alan and Sherry, do you iron? If so, do you enjoy it and are you good at it? So I already said to Mary,
Question.
I took Mary aside privately and said, Mary, I feel like this question just was born out of whatever you saw or were doing at the time that you wrote your question.
She was ironing. I can just see her now, and they're cute little Mary ironing and going, I wonder if Alan and Sherry iron. And if
'Cause,
they
yeah.
enjoy it as much as I.
When I'm sitting on the toilet, I think I wonder if other people take shits.
Hey, that's one of my favorite parts of the day, man.
It's just it's the demons. You got to get them out. But I don't, because I'm so pure of spirit. By the way, that's why there are so many comments in the viewer mail thread. It's mostly me and Mary
Right.
just yelling at each other about her ironing.
I try to avoid it when I can.
Yes, so I agree. If your clothes come out of the dryer and they need to be ironed, just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Ryan Seifert writes, Dear Alan and Sherry, if you eat a cold Hot Pocket, is it just a pocket?
It's a pocket sickle.
A popsicle?
A popsicle.
Ah! It's just an uncooked ravioli, I guess.
Yeah. Ooh. It won't
But
kill you.
I tell
Probably
you
not.
what, though, I like the way Ryan's thinking.
Yeah.
Ryan is single-handedly saving this program. Have you noticed that?
I have. He's got
Okay.
good brain minds.
What the hell is going on right here? What?
Someone's trying to escape.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look at it all. I'm chopping this off. I told you that, didn't I?
I know. I don't like to talk about it.
It's going. Eric Eli writes, Dear Alan and Sherry, is Fauci a manifestation of both Pinky and the brain?
Oh.
So when I first saw this question, my initial thought was, I don't want to talk about Fauci. I don't want to get into politics in the viewer mail. But then I realized, actually, he is a manifestation of both Pinky and the brain.
Yeah.
Because his evil intentions are the brain, but his ability to actually, make it happen is Pinky.
Right. That's some deep stuff right there. I'm liking that.
That is some. I feel like we could throw out the rest of the show and just talk about Pinky and the brain.
Animaniacs.
Yes. Can you sing the song? You know the song that the one guy sings where he sings all the countries in the world?
Oh, I know. I've thought about memorizing that before. Albania. Yeah.
I like how it was Albania and then everyone else.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Okay. Why? Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm just gonna let that go. You should do that, Sherry.
I should next live show, man.
Yes, I will. I'll have the music prepared and you do the song.
Can I break plates at the end?
Sure.
Okay.
Someone's plates.
Yay.
Lalderio writes, Dear Alan and Sherry, do you have a favorite Monopoly piece? I do have a favorite Monopoly piece. I like the hat.
Yeah. I like the hat too.
Do
Or
you?
the shoe. I really like the shoe as well.
So I originally thought that this might be a trick question, and my favorite Monopoly piece is a house. Because, most people don't actually know how to win Monopoly. The way you win
Right.
Monopoly is you create a Monopoly, but that's by taking all the houses so other people
Yeah.
can't physically play the game.
You go into real estate like a boss.
Yes, it's free real estate.
Yeah.
All right, so Logan Denny writes, Dear Alan and Sherry, what do you think of my mustache? So you guys can't see Logan right now. He's got a picture here, and he has one of those. What is there a name for the type of mustache where it twirls like Captain Hook?
I'm sure there is, but I don't remember it.
We gotta find that out during the break or
I
something.
have a picture with him. I got to meet Logan in real life too, and see that sweet mustache.
There you
awesome.
go. He's got the only thing, Logan, is you should dye it black and be Captain Hook, I think.
Oh, yes, a pirate. Yes.
I'll be Jon Snow if he was a Witcher, and Logan will be Captain Hook for Halloween. We're doing it.
And I'll be Princess Leia if she were a 500-pound woman, middle-aged woman.
You can be the Princess Leia that's suffocating in space. There you are then.
Yay me.
Rachel Watson Kinnerly writes, Dear Alan and Sherry, which running back are you drafting first in your fantasy football league? It's been years since I played fantasy football.
I love how she asks me just out of courtesy.
Yeah,
Like she
of
gives
course.
me the honor of saying, I don't care about
Mhm.
that shit. But even, she at
Mhm.
least asks. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
I quit playing fantasy football and just started gambling.
You went right to the hard stuff.
That's like playing fantasy football, but also the most dangerous game.
Yes,
So
correct. Agent of Chaos.
yeah. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm going to say Zeke is making a bounce back season this year. And now everyone in the audience is boo, boo Allen, boo Cowboys, boo.
Was Reggie White a running back? He was, wasn't he?
No,
No?
he was a
Okay.
defensive
Well,
lineman.
defensive lineman. Oh, that's right, because he was really big. Well,
Boy,
never mind then.
Well, you tried, Sherry.
That's right.
You sure did. Good
tried.
effort. Last one, Jonathan Carranza writes, Dear Alan and Sherry, what was your favorite hide and go seek spot as a kid? Your mom. Fucking got him. Fucking got him.
Ooh. Did you ever play hide and go seek and then because we always played outside in the woods mostly, and
Mhm.
I'd be hiding behind a tree and then you have to pee, everything in you is keeping you from peeing because you're so hyped up and scared at the same. Did it ever happen to you?
No.
Oh. Okay. Well, never mind then.
Yeah, sorry. You're supposed to adequately empty your bowels before beginning.
I wasn't allowed to go in the house though till it got dark.
I hope all you guys have adequately emptied your bowels before watching this show, quite frankly. Look at us. We're actually doing good on time this week. I can't believe it. Guys, we're going to be back for the rest of the show, starting with what are we doing in the next segment? I think we're talking about mask and Rona and...
Sure.
We're talking about one of the things I said we wouldn't talk about anymore.
Uh-oh.
Right after this break. Don't go away. Your ad could be playing right now, reaching thousands of potential customers. Sadly, it's not, but it could be. Find out how to be an advertised sponsor for It's Too Late with Alan Mosley. Email us at info@alanmosley.tv. Welcome back, everybody. So I lied. We're going to talk about all that stuff in the next segment. In this segment, we're going to talk about Ben and Jerry's being anti-Semitic.
BJ's.
Yeah. You're only saying that, I'm telling on you, you're only saying that because I have it abbreviated as BJ's in the show notes. I know you, folks,
yeah.
Listen, folks don't listen. I can see her. She's right there. I can see this woman. One day I'm going to take a picture with my phone and people are going to say, oh yeah, she's right there. She's doing it. Anyway, Ben & Jerry's releases this statement. It's right on their website. I'm going to read it for you. Ben & Jerry's will end sales of our ice cream in the occupied Palestinian territory. We believe it is inconsistent with our values for Ben & Jerry's ice cream to be sold in the occupied Palestinian territory, OPT. We also hear and recognize the concerns shared with us by our fans and trusted partners. We have a long-standing partnership with our licensee who manufactures Ben & Jerry's ice cream in Israel and distributes it in the region. We have been working to change this, and so we have informed our licensee that we will not renew the license agreement when it expires at the end of next year. Although Ben & Jerry's will no longer be sold in the OPT, we will stay in Israel through a different arrangement. We will share an update on this as soon as we're ready. Now, I want to make really clear before we get too far into this, what did that mean? What it really means is that a bunch of people were writing hate mail to Ben & Jerry's saying, you guys have a distributor in Israel and you've got your little Ben & Jerry's kiosks, not just in the country Israel, but specifically they're selling them in the disputed territory, in the occupied Palestinian territory. By the way, occupied Palestinian territory, what that means is it's Palestine and the Israelis are there anyway.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's what that means. And they're saying, well, you know what, we can't change that, but we can at least say, well, we're not going to do business there because we don't like the business you guys do there, which is corral people into rubble and then murder them. So anyway, there were some people, because far be it for any politician in the United States to not put in their 2 cents on Ben and Jerry's. So we're going to start with this. Senator Lankford from Oklahoma says, Ben and Jerry's has now decided they know more about Jerusalem. I don't know what you're laughing at, Sherry, than the Israelis. If Ben and Jerry's wants to have a meltdown and boycott Israel, Oklahoma is ready to respond. Oklahoma has an anti-boycott of Israel law in place.
Good Lord.
You know, I don't even give a shit what his opinion is. Why does Oklahoma have an anti-Israel boycott law in place?
They're like that girl after the dentist. They want to suck that Israel dick, but they'll get dry socket.
But not for a week. But they'll get dry socket. That's exactly right. Jesus Christ, man. But he's far from the only one. Check out New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio right here that says he'll boycott Ben and Jerry's over their Israel stance. I'm telling you, I'm not surprised by these monsters and their opinions on this. And it's not that I'm necessarily so surprised that they feel the need to make their opinion known. It's just that when anything involving Israel happens, like cancel all my calls.
Yeah.
Just clear my schedule. I have to make an announcement about Israel today. That's what all these people, because that's what New Yorkers and Okies and Texans and Floridians, that's what they all think. They think, what are we going to do about Israel, y'all?
Yeah, I mean, maybe New Yorkers do because most of them are Jewish. So.
Yeah. Well, they're not in Israel, though, are they?
That's true.
They don't believe in hell, do they?
I think they do.
They do?
I don't know if it's quite the same as the Christian hell, but there's a parable about hell that came from.
Okay. Well, I guess they'll find out soon enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
shit.
But also, check out this article. Check out this article right here. Texas and Florida get involved in Israel's fight with Ben and Jerry's over West Bank boycott. Boy, somebody ought to tell Ben and Jerry's if they're going to fight Israel. They have nukes, you know.
Right, exactly.
Like I know y'all got that peanut butter cup that's pretty fine, but they got nukes. They should. Oh my God, they should double down and make one of their next flavor like radioactive Israeli. That's what.
Bloody berry.
All right.
I think we should pitch it.
Yeah.
Pitch it to them.
Yeah. I just want a fraction of 1 cent of each one of them sold.
Yes,
that's it.
Correct.
I'm good on that. So Texas and Florida get involved. The fight between Israel and Palestinians is spilling over into 30 U.S. states with laws on their books preventing pension funds from investing in companies that refuse to do business with the Jewish state. 30 states. 30 out of 50 have those on the books. The freshest example involves a socially conscious ice cream brand Ben and Jerry's, the West Bank, Texas, and Florida. Now listen to this. This is your boy Greg Abbott. By the way, Greg Abbott's opinion on this was also seconded by everyone's favorite anti-lockdown man, Ron DeSantis. Do we have a picture of Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis? Yeah, there they are. That's them. I mean, where's the lie?
Hoist the banner.
Yeah. Ben and Jerry's decision to boycott parts of Israel is disgraceful and an insult to America's closest ally in the Middle East, Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott said in a statement to CNBC. That meant Oklahoma. That's what that meant. That was for Senator Langford. That's what that meant, y'all. Don't at me. Don't do it. You know, I finally had my first Fed on Twitter.
Really?
Send me some hate mail saying, so we're just saying slurs now, are we? But I can tell how he was a Fed.
Now?
Was this random guy who had it was like he had one follower and was following 20 people, even though his account was like 6 years old, and he had liked some of my tweets from like 4 years ago.
He's one of the watchers.
Yeah, he is literally one of the watchmen. That's right.
This whole thing with Ben and Jerry's, for one, I mean, it's like when they're giving the government a run for their money because you know how when government gets involved in things, it makes it worse. Well, these people, they're upset that the Palestinians are being murdered, so now they're not going to give them ice cream. Like okay, that's just terrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's it too, is that, and really I want to take aim at old, George W. DeSantis, in that everyone was singing his praises because of his positions on the lockdown, which even though he was moving to open up Florida before most, like he's still locked down at one time. Like most of the people that get all this hero worship don't deserve it, at least in so much as they were only against the lockdowns after they were for it. Which tells you they also really don't have any principles to stand on. They're just taking opinion polls and seeing which way the wind is blowing. So I really don't have a lot of nice things to say about these folks. But just the fact that guy, this supposed conservative wonderkin, he's really just a Republican astrocuck like the rest of them. Yes. Is you and I talked about this right before the show. As I have said in the past, that as it pertains to DeSantis specifically, I know a lot of people are thinking, look, he's got a lot of buzz, a lot of positivity on him for the way he stood up against the whole lockdown culture, and I'm not taking that away from him. But one of the things I had said early on is that, well, that's all well and good, and a lot of people are thinking, well, if it's down to Officer Harris and DeSantis, then you're leaning DeSantis. And I get that. She's literally one of the worst human beings on earth. But something that we don't know anything about when it comes to DeSantis is because he's a governor. And he's had really nothing to do with domestic policy on a national level, foreign policy, running an economy, other than just wanting to open up his state. But specifically, we didn't know anything about his foreign policy stance. And I feel like all of this crap about hashtag stand with Israel and wanting to attack American companies because of their stance on something, I feel like that gives us a glimpse into it, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Yeah.
Sure does. You remember the Dick Van Dyke Show?
Well, I'm not 80, so no, I don't.
I mean, but I used to watch it on reruns.
I've
say, so when he comes in and he's like trips over the little ottoman there every time. Like, I feel like that's what politicians do. They line up to trip all over themselves just to mention Israel's name, and either their support or their disdain for it in regards to their constituency. And they really could care less about the people dying there. Yeah,
I agree completely. Well, so someone like a DeSantis trips over the ottoman. Someone like Tho Bishop uses it because it's better on his knees when he's sucking Trump's dick.
Oh,
but tell you what, Republicans are just the worst, aren't they?
Oh,
I don't give a fuck, Sherry. I've lost it.
Inhaler.
You're looking a little red. Are you okay? Are you all right? All right.
Oh, it's warm in here.
Well, get ready. We only got to get through one more segment, Sherry.
All right.
We're going to be back to talk about all the Rona stuff I said we're never going to talk about again. Right after this commercial. Don't go away. If you're enjoying tonight's show, consider supporting the program by becoming a member of our Patreon. That's over at patreon.com/Alan Mosley.
Like that.
I like how the transition happened perfectly on time. And then, grab a drink, use the restroom, and then
I'm going to have to listen to the show sometimes so I can see the delay.
But the same person that did the transition also did the It doesn't compute for me. I don't know.
It's a sound thing.
Okay. It is a sound thing. Boy, get ready, folks. The CDC released new recommendations today based on all the Delta variant going around. It's ugly COVID-19's making a comeback, and so you know what that means. CDC warns vaccinated Americans to wear a mask indoors in COVID hotspots. There's the article right there. it's probably because of the supposed increase in cases because of the Delta variant. But, here's the interesting thing, because it's only a CDC guideline. I love how, if you look at the corporate press, if you look at how all the major journalistic institutions report this news, they report it in very specifically crafted language. I read this from like 5 different competing news agencies, and they all used very similar verbiage. It was, CDC has announcement on what Americans have to do. That is objectively false.
Correct.
That's not just false because you and I are curmudgeons and we say we're going to shoot the census man. We're not going to do what y'all say.
Get off my
That's
lawn.
actually objectively false because the CDC is not SCOTUS. They don't make executive orders. They're not the law.
Body.
No, they're absolutely not. That's only their recommendations. Now, there are people out there that model their policies around what CDC recommendations are, but that kind of opens up a whole other topic of conversation, which is if the type of places that we're still listening to the CDC, after everything that's gone on, after all the BS, after all the lies, all the contra data that's come out to talk about all the lies, all the censorship, all the deplatforming of people that were whistleblowers early on, that things that you got deleted for 6 months ago are now mainstream thought today, but you don't see any apologies being issued. That's for damn sure. The people that were still listening to the CDC will probably follow this recommendation. But the great many people who weren't listening to the CDC, they're not going to do it.
Right.
So it's almost like it's moot, and I hope it doesn't affect you. But speaking of those PCR tests, so they're making this recommendation based on a spike in cases based theoretically on these new variants that come along. But take a look at this. It's really a scam, folks. CDC pulls PCR tests because they can't differentiate between COVID and flu.
Wow, that's new.
I love it. I absolutely love it, because there were scientists, there were epidemiologists, there were virologists.
The very doctor that invented the test.
The very doctor who invented the test. Now for the pedants at home, what they're specifically talking about is they're talking about the rapid test, the ones that are being used at schools, at office buildings, at venues, at sporting events, that sort of thing.
Right.
And that test in particular, the CDC is now wanting to withdraw and try to find a different test because it can't differentiate between COVID and flu. Now, there were experts, and I don't mean the experts that become fact checkers that get you and I banned from Twitter. I'm talking about experts who had a different opinion on things.
Actual virologists
that were saying 6 months ago, 10 months ago, a year ago, more. They were saying the PCR tests aren't accurate. They can be tweaked to detect more or less, and that can be used to political ends.
Right.
Or in this particular case, they can't differentiate between COVID and the flu. And there were people hypothesizing that, well, if you look at influenza numbers and cold numbers, you would believe that it was practically eradicated in the year 2020.
Disappeared.
Practically disappeared. And just the regime shills would say, well, that was because everybody was wearing their masks and social distance, because that worked to get rid of the flu, but it didn't work to get rid of COVID, just so that we're keeping track at home. We now know from more mainstream sources what these poor deplatformed fellows were trying to tell us long ago, which is the tests are a sham. They're an absolute fraud. But it's so interesting that these headlines come up roughly in the same news cycle, because the CDC, based on case numbers, are recommending going back to mandates and lockdowns at the same time that we know the case numbers are suspect. That's me being very polite, by the way. The case numbers are suspect. It just doesn't add up.
Nope.
And then of course you can add to that the conversation with the vaccines. They call it a vaccine, and there's a lot of people that say if you want to get back to your life, you're going to have to take the jab. And if enough people don't take it, we're going to have to make it mandatory. People like Mayor de Blasio says that he wants to make it mandatory for employees of the state of New York. You can see right here, the Fire Department of New York union comes out against de Blasio vaccine requirement. So de Blasio is basically saying you should have to take the vaccine. If you don't, then you should be subjected to weekly testing. Which, by the way, again, who knows if the test, what's the test going to say?
Right.
What
right.
test?
Yeah.
So because of that, I mean, you're looking at something like 4,000 plus members of that union who are not vaccinated, who are saying that we're going to strike, or ultimately they may lose their jobs because they're not going to be told by Mayor de Blasio how to run their health.
Yes.
Boy, I tell you what, that Mayor de Blasio is going to make more openings for the fire department in New York than 9/11.
Oh,
I just...
oh, God.
Which is...
You're going to hell for saying that. I'm going to hell for laughing.
But it's so appropriate because we already know, I mean, there was those memes a year ago. Like, remember that whole scandal with Cuomo, Governor Cuomo, and the elderly homes? Remember that, by the way, has totally disappeared? Exactly. That has totally disappeared from the news, and he's not been lined up against a wall and shot yet like he fucking deserves.
Yeah.
So de Blasio killed more people than the hijackers did. Or, excuse me, Cuomo killed more people than the hijackers did, and now de Blasio is replacing more firefighters than 9/11.
Oh.
I'll tell you what.
Oh, sacred cow, annihilated.
I know that some people are hearing that and say, well, that's bad messaging. Yeah, well, fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not in New York, and there's lots of good goddamn reasons for that. I happen to see, it wasn't necessarily in my notes to discuss, but Michael Malice, which we talk about Michael Malice a lot, the anarchist wonderkin that he is. He's been a lifelong New Yorker, and he's moving. He's buying a house in Texas.
Is he really?
He's buying a house in Texas. He's leaving New York. Now that's amazing, because this is, and it's not just because he is who he is and because he's a genuine, in his soul New Yorker, but it's also that this Michael Malice, I mean, I remember him going on shows like a couple of years ago on places like Dave Rubin or whatever, and specifically saying to the interviewer, it doesn't matter how bad you think it can get, I would never leave New York because it's so great. And now here we are.
Here we
are.
Now,
Now, by the way, I'm not saying that as an aha, Malice, you were wrong, or you. I'm saying that no, if anything, I'm making the point that I believed him when he said that the first time.
Right.
And so
now it's that bad.
It must be that bad. And I mean, we know he's not alone, of course, because I mean, we've talked in the past about, you look at the population changes and the movement from one state to another.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So with those CDC recommendations also comes this right here. It's going to affect the school system. CDC recommends encouraging everyone to wear a mask in school, regardless of vaccination status. Right. That's really the kicker there at the end.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't. And so I've seen people say elsewhere that you look at kind of the difference between, of course, no one talks about natural immunity. That was another one of those things where if you were saying natural community good, that would get you deplatformed just a few months ago, maybe even a few weeks ago. Yep. Now you can at least talk about natural immunity being a thing that exists that people can get and then live with. But now you're seeing all this data coming out of, well, the vaccines aren't really vaccines. Well, you can get the vaccine and you can still get COVID. You can get the vaccine, you can still spread COVID. You can get the vaccine, you can still die from COVID. You can get the vaccine and then have a medical episode as a result of the vaccine. And I'll tell you what, say you didn't get the vaccine. If you don't get the vaccine, all those things are true except for you won't die from the vaccine.
Exactly. I'm just going to drink my Ovaltine.
Yeah, just drink your Tang. Drink your Tang.
Oh, yeah.
No one sent us any Tang, so we're not...
Right, it's a drink of Jeff Bezos.
Yes, that's all he drinks now is Tang. That's the only way you can get that thing up. Is if you listen, fellas, drink
No
your
Viagra.
drink your Tang. And so
Wow.
So everybody at home, I want to clue you in on something. My number one producer in late night, Sherry, she had said to me a week or two ago that, you know, we're running through kind of like our producer's notes before we start the show. And, you know, it's good to be informed, but on the other hand, it kind of kills the surprise. I want to be like one of the viewers at home, and I want to see these things for the first time, and then my reaction will be genuine. And I said, okay, Sherry, we'll try that this week. And now you're having some kind of episode.
Right. This is some kind of episode, my friend.
It really is. You know, I'm still a little bit sore. I'm getting off topic here because we have a few. Imagine this. Instead of us already being like 3.5 hours over time, we're actually way ahead of time.
Really?
Yeah, we are.
Wow.
And so I'm a little bit sore because I had a bunch of people of our fans say to me that, you know, we really like it when, you know, guests are cool and all, but then you're kind of roped into bringing out topics from the guest. And, you know, and having lots of stuff prepared is great, but we really like, you know, Alan, we really like your take on things. And so how about you do more episodes where you bring up a topic and you just sort of vamp on it.
Riff.
And we did that last week.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers were all way down. This is, you know how they say the customer is always right?
Right. That's bullshit.
Shit.
Yeah. They're a fickle people, our audience. Fickle Finkelsteins.
Yeah. They really are. So, like last week's show, we had talked about the topic of secession, and we had tied that in to Britney Spears. And I thought, well, this will be cool because it'll kind of be like this unique little combination of pop culture and an important topic to us in our hearts. Yeah, nobody cared.
Yeah. I mean, we should have just done more free Britney and less free people.
I mean, we could just sit here, like, you know how some of these people on YouTube, they'll just do reaction videos? Like, I'm going to react to The Mandalorian. I'm going to react to Lord of the Rings. We could just have more videos like the girl at the dentist and you and I just sit here and watch them. And then after we watch them, we'll sit down and we'll discuss what we just saw.
Right. I think maybe we could have like, you know, record one of our phone calls and then just play that. But I think we probably would really get blasted, deplatformed.
Yeah, I mean...
Full strength Alan and Sherry is a little much for the normies.
I mean, guys, I don't know if you guys know this. I'll leave you on this before we head into our final break. When I think Sherry voluntary, I think the hard R, if you know what I'm saying. Guys, we're going to be back to wrap up the show right after this commercial break. Don't go away. Hi guys, it's Alan here, and I want to take a moment to let you know about one of our supporters who started a new business. Laura Moreau sells 50 different health and wellness all-natural products, from weight loss, supplements, energy enhancers, body toning, longer and stronger hair, and so much more. Do you like coffee? Well, they even have coffee that'll help you drop some pounds, and who doesn't want to drop a few pounds? Go check her out at her online store at lauramoreau.itworks.com today. That's lauramoreau.itworks.com. Like our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/AlanMosleyTV. You can follow me on Twitter. It's twitter.com/AlanMosleyTV. Subscribe to our YouTube page. It's youtube.com/AlanMosleyTV. Also, don't forget, we're now on Odyssey. That is odyssey.com. Search just It's Too Late with Alan Mosley or Alan Mosley TV. Don't just complain about not having a free speech platform. Go and support one. That's odyssey.com. Also, if you'd rather listen than watch and really just a heathen, just an absolute heathen, You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms of choice, thanks to Anchor FM. That's anchor.fm/Alan Mosley TV. One last bit before we get done here. So I was originally going to talk about the push to get women included in the draft. So take a look at this right here. Senate panel votes to make women register for the draft. Now, if you're wondering, well, what does this mean? Where is the vote at? What does this mean exactly? What's going on is that they're currently working on the next authorization of the NDAA, which is something we've talked about, once a year for however long this has been going on. And you know how politicians do things. If there's something that they're a little bit concerned might not exactly fly with too many people, they just make it an amendment and shove it into a bill that they're pretty sure they have the political power to get rammed through no matter what. And so they're going to try to make this an amendment to the NDAA. It's actually already working through the Senate. It's already passed one Senate panel. Sherry, what do you think about Lieutenant Commander Evie?
No, sir, I don't like it.
No, I don't think I will. That's right. So I want to touch on that before we run off to the credits today, is that they've been making your boys register for years. And the strongest among us maybe found a way around that, but they've been doing that for years. And piggybacking on the last segment, get your kids out of the damn schools. They're going to put muzzles on your children and fill their head with all manner of just BS. You're going to send your kids to Caesar, they're going to come home as Romans, and they're going to despise you and not reflect your family and its values in any meaningful way. And now, on top of all that, they're also coming for your young ladies. So something we've talked about on this show several times is drawing your line in the sand, right? And that might be a different place for different people, but it's really important to know where that is. You need to have a line in the sand, and when you draw it, you better mean it. And I have all the respect in the world for people. I have all the respect in the world for Sherry Voluntary, because I know she does not send her children to those goddamn indoctrination camps. Amen. Thank you for your service. So that's where she drew her line in the sand. They are coming for your children. They are coming for your daughters. Is that where you're going to draw your line? Guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of It's Too Late, and we will see you next week.